What you're about to hear is an extremely powerful conversation where I interviewed Jeffrey Allen. Jeffrey Allen is a popular Mind Valley author and speaker, a powerful energy healer, and a pioneer in online energy training. In this episode, we went profoundly deep. What does it mean to truly shift our own energy? And we hear this all the time. Nothing in your life changes until your energy shifts, until you change your energy. In this episode, it will be revealed how you can do this on a deeply practical and tangible level, grounded spiritual wisdom. As well, we talked about how can we align our energy to connect with our higher calling in life, to draw in our dream partner, our divine counterpart in this life. Jeffrey, it's amazing to have you on the show because the word energy or shift your energy, I believe it's the most important word and the most important thing we can ever work with. At the same time, it is not something that a lot of people intentionally work with. And when I listen to your work, when I listen to you share, when I listen to how you speak about energy and the embodiment behind the depth and teachings you bring to the world, I can feel that it is more than just words, but it is a real lived experience being embodied through you.
Oh, thanks, Lorin. Yeah, that's great, and that's I really love what you said there because I think that energy work itself is powerful, but how do we make it real to everybody? How do you make it something that is tangible? We're having a real experience rather than just a kind of intellectual thing that's in our head.
In your journey, you went from software engineer to energy healer. What was the inner shift that changed everything for you here?
Yeah, actually, it's funny because software engineering and energy work are actually similar than they are different. Because you're dealing with the intangible things with software. So I was very used to the software world, where if you want something, you just declare that you have it. If you want to change things, you just change things. It's very fluid, very easy. It's very infinite, if you will. And so energy work is the same way. Both of them are very different from the physical world, where I was building a house at one point, and I just kept getting frustrated by, I'd run out of nails. I'd have to go to Home Depot, or, something got cut wrong. We'd have to get another board. And my friend was laughing at me. He said, well, that's because you're a software engineer. You're used to everything, you can just declare it and it's there instantly. And energy works the same way. So it's just like software. Yeah. So what was the shift there? Yeah. For me, I was actually doing both of them at the same time for quite a number of years. Almost all the time that I was writing software, a 15-year career there, I was also studying energy work, practicing energy work. I kind of had these two lives. But what switched for me is that at some point when I was tuning in, I was meditating every day. And once I got through asking sort of the selfish questions, for my guides, like, does that person like me? Or is this going to go my way? Kind of the first things we do when we first tune in with our intuition. And when I started getting deeper, I asked this question at one point. I said, why am I here? And this really clear, deep answer came in and said, you're here to be of service. And it kind of shocked me. I was kind of embarrassed. I was like, oh, I'd never considered that before. I thought service was something I got at a restaurant or at a gas station or a hotel, but it never occurred to me. I'm here to be of service. And like I said, I was a little embarrassed that I'd never even thought of that. It's just kind of, how I grew up in the US. And that's what really started to shift things. Where I'm like, okay, what am I doing something now that's being of service? And the answer was, no, I'm not. So I was like, okay, I don't know how it's going to happen, but I'm going to shift. I'm going to pivot so that my hobby of energy work and energy healing is going to become the main thing. And then my main thing, which is software, is going to become a hobby. And like, how am I going to pivot that and make that happen?
You said something very specific, that when you met your wife, everything shifted for you.
Yeah, for Hisami, I met her. It was a little bit after I had switched careers. I was teaching and on the road traveling and so on. And it was just through coincidence, through a friend of a friend connected me and said, oh, if you're going to be in Tokyo, you should look up my friend Hisami and think you guys really get along. And I didn't think too much of it, but there was some kind of energy connection, even from the beginning, where, that particular business card just somehow I knew I need to hang on to this. I need to keep it on top of the pile. And when all the teaching was done, I called the number in the card. It was actually Hisami's friend. We were going to go to lunch, and she said, "Oh, and I want to bring along my friend Hisami." And as soon as she said Hisami's name, the energy just like flooded through, and I could just feel this huge connection. I was like, "Yes, bring her." And I never met her. I'd never seen a picture of her. I never talked to her. All I did is hear her name spoken by her friend, and like right away, I was in love. And before we even met, going to that lunch outside the restaurant, I'm waiting for her, and my guidance, my guides were talking to me and just telling me and showing me all the potential that we had of this beautiful life together. And I'm thinking, I haven't even met her yet. Like, we're, let's meet her first. And of course, she came up the escalator, and I saw her, and I was like, wow, and better than I could ever imagine. If I made a list of all the things I wanted in a wife and partner, I wouldn't even have known to put these things on the list. She's I couldn't dream big enough to create this relationship. Yeah, truly had to come from me just surrendering and asking the universe for help. That's about a year before I had actually kind of told the universe. I said, "Hey, I need some help. If I knew how to create the relationship of my dreams, I would have done it already." So clearly, I don't know how to do that, but probably you do. So help. Yeah, it worked out really well. We just had our 15-year anniversary.
Congratulations. And Jeffrey, when you share that, it moves me deeply because it brings me back to the moment when I met my wife. And not long after we've met, and I knew in my heart that I will commit myself in eternity to her. When I was walking through the streets of Vienna, we met in Vienna, where I originally grew up. And I was walking through the streets, the snow was falling, and everything started to turn slow motion. And I could feel this energy. I could feel this depth in that moment. And there was this voice that said, I didn't see the visuals, but there was this feeling and there was this voice. And the voice said to me, whatever you do it with her. Wherever you go with her.
Yeah, it's really wonderful. It's also, it's harder than it sounds to commit in that way, to trust, to lean in. When I met Hisami, that energetically was as if it's like here in Tokyo. There's just a lot of speed trains. They call them quiet trains here at Shinkansen, but in the West it's called a bullet train. But the same thing. But so the trains basically stop for 1 minute. The door opens, the doors close, and then it leaves. And that's the feeling I had with this relationship. I'm like, I didn't know it was coming, but the train is here, and I have a minute to decide. And what am I going to do? I also know that I'm not quite ready. Like, if I knew this was coming, I think I would have prepared better. I'd be more grown up in some way. I'd be more ready, but it doesn't matter. The train's here now. Get on or don't get on. And so, of course, I jumped on. And that's my personality. The train took off. And it's no regrets. Best choice I ever made. But it's scary, for those of us, when you find that, if you're listening to this and you find that kind of relationship, sometimes it's hard to believe and trust and really just lean in. The mind wants to come up with all the reasons. Like for me, it was easy. My mind was like, she doesn't speak English. I don't speak Japanese. I don't understand how that's going to work. But my heart's saying, this is the one. So I'm like, all right, if this is the one, that's a big detail, but I guess we'll sort it out.
And I think it also really connects with the work that you're teaching right now, because you connected with her so deeply energetically that even though there was a language barrier, there was something deeper communicating.
Yeah. I would say, our first date, not the lunch date, but the first date was just the two of us. It was in Yokohama. We were out in a park, and all I could say was "Konnichiwa, Jeffrey Allen des," and she could say, "Hi, I'm Hisami," and that was all we had for words. But we had the whole day together, right? And if you're really excited about connecting with somebody and you really want to get to know them, and you don't talk, magic happens, right? So we're sitting in the park, we're looking at each other's eyes. Sometimes one of us will talk, and then we're both laughing because we know that we're not actually communicating. Or she would say something and I'd say something funny, and like, "Oh, I'm really glad you said that," and but mostly it was just humor. It was love. It was like just a desire to connect and playfulness. And of course we both do energy work, so we could we could run a little energy with each other and kind of feel the energy moving. And so for the two of us, it was probably less odd maybe than for other people because energy work is second language for both of us, and the love is there. So it's a second language, maybe a first language. But it was magical. I would recommend it for anybody. That's the best first date I ever had was without words.
There is a saying that goes, when we shift our energy, everything changes. It's not just a saying I believe in, it's a saying I know is true. And I'm sure you will agree with it. And you specifically say in your work that when we talk about energy to someone who didn't have an experience where their energy shifted in such a powerful way that the outer world started to shift in really magnificent ways and profound ways. Why is it that some people can understand this all on a conceptual level, but their energy doesn't really shift? So their life doesn't shift.
Yeah, that's a great question. So Hisami and I have talked about this quite a bit because we have a program together, it's actually half Japanese, half English. We're still, neither of us are fully bilingual, but we're getting there. And we see that a lot. So the training's called Spirit Mind. It's very deep. It's how to be in this authentic space of spirit, to really be prioritizing and living from that space of love and deep connection with the universe. And we all have our mind, what we call it the material mind, that's also talking to us and thinking and filling us in on all of our thoughts and beliefs and details and so on. But to let that part quiet down tends to be very hard if it's something that's been active within us. So for me in particular, like my that analytical mind is very strong in me, and so it's easy to believe that I've shifted, that I'm acting from spirit, where in fact energetically I'm just sort of I'm pretending, like my analytical mind or my belief system, and this is what we see in other people too, can create a space where it's like, oh, now I've moved in and like I'm over now I'm being very spiritual. I would say that's the reason to your question. Like, why do people feel like, they understand it completely, but they're not embodying it or not changing energy? Is because it's, they're still in the analyzer, still in the analytical mind. And that can be fun and rewarding, but it doesn't really have much to do with shifting the energy. Now, the analogy I like to use is kind of fun is if you want to become a basketball player, then you don't need to read about basketball or watch basketball movies or learn the theory of basketballs and the game and everything. That all might help, but if you did none of that and you just practiced all the time because you love the game, you're going to get better. And people that are naturally skilled and excited, like practice more and get better and better and better. And the same thing is true with energy work, with spirituality. It's not something you have to really learn. It's something that's within you that comes naturally when you're reaching for it.
Specifically what you said here at the end, you said the following words. I want to read them for the listeners. If you're not feeling good, you're not feeling you, because your energy always feels good to you.
It's true. When I look at, from my own experience, like if I think recently, times when I've felt stressed, when I'm able to calm down and sort of find my center again, I realize that the suffering that I'm having, the stress that I'm going through, is only there because I'm not centered within myself. I'm obsessing about some problem, or I'm imagining some future that's not here, or I'm reliving something, from the past that happened, but that I'm not really experiencing my energy in the moment. And that's why I don't feel good. And the funny part is, like, even if I'm having an experience, like that experience, if I'm not happy and I realize that, I actually feel good in that moment. Like, I just realized, even though my situation isn't good and it's stressful, the fact that I noticed it and then I realized, that's because my attention's all out here instead of within. All of a sudden I feel good again. I feel love. I feel myself. And my situation didn't change at all. All that changed was my perception. I just changed from being out here, all this world, and suddenly like being aware and like, now I'm feeling my energy moving through me, and I feel good.
There's almost like a sense when our energy is going outwards, and it's not, we're not feeling our energy here. We start to get out of alignment. We feel like we're losing ourselves. We're starting to disconnect. So is this an ongoing practice that you would recommend to listeners to bring their energy back here or to focus on the energetic field of the body?
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a separate practice. Sometimes we think, oh, I've got to set aside 5 minutes or 10 minutes or an hour to meditate, or I have to do yoga at a certain time. But I think it's way more powerful and accessible to just do it in the moments when you need it. So I can be having a conversation with you right now, and I can still notice the chair that I'm sitting on. I can still feel my own hands, or I can feel my hands sitting on my leg. And when I do that, all of a sudden, I'm back in more. I'm present. I'm here. I'm not just up here telling stories or talking, but I'm actually in the body, in the moment. So it can be just a moment, just a breath.
I like that because it's when we make it a big thing, it becomes much harder to access it. And when it becomes something that is just in the moment when we need it, it becomes almost a way of living, a way of breathing, a way of becoming the work rather than thinking about it or turning it into something overcomplicated. Something I wanted to ask you here, Jeffrey, is people often experience powerful energetic shifts, or at least those who are in the journey of awakening. But these shifts are often short-lived. And I'm sure you get that a lot from your clients or people when they first start working with you. They say, okay, I experienced this powerful shift, but then a few weeks later, I forgot about all of that. And my nervous system, my body, I went back into the old reality.
Yeah, part of it's really related to what we're talking about here, that if your attention is outside, you can have a powerful shift based on the people around you, based on the experience, based on the workshop that you go to. And it's very common. I remember that when I was first taking many spiritual workshops, I'd go to the workshop, I'd feel fantastic. And, at the end, it's like, wow, this is this new, beautiful, amazing space. And then I'd go back home and sort of within a few days, dun, 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 I sort of adjusted back to my normal mode. And it was actually one of my teachers, Jim Self, that had kind of put the question to me at one point to the group. He said, how many of you have had that happen? And everybody raised their hand. And he said, are you willing to let it happen again? Because right now you're all in that space. You're in that beautiful resonance. You're tuned in. Are you going to go home and just go back to your old ways? Because that's what you've been doing up until now, right? Every time. So do you want to change it? And of course, we're all it's kind of like a shock. It's like, ooh, truth, right? and basically the change was just to start making it part of daily life. Spirituality isn't something outside. It's not something extra. It's not something you do once a week, in a particular building that you go to or a particular group that you meet with. It's just something that's ongoing all the time and accessible all the time. And once you kind of make that shift and make it something internal rather than something external, that's when you're able to hold on to those shifts a lot longer.
Something I like to say is that our highest priority or our highest desire needs to be the desire to evolve. That desire needs to be at the forefront. And it's quite interesting because when I work with people, and I'm sure you see this a lot as well, people might sometimes say, or an analytical mind will say, I want to awaken, I want to be free, I want to feel peace, I want my heart to be open, I want to be present. But then other priorities and other desires come to the forefront and are actually still quite strong within them. How would you describe in your own words the desire for evolution? Is this something that has to be at the forefront? Is this something we have to choose deeply from within?
Probably yes and no, both. So there's kind of an analytical perspective on spirituality that we run into kind of first when we start studying or learning things. One of the keywords there is we think that we're going to learn about spirituality. But that's one thing that my wife Hisami said so many times. She says, I'm not actually teaching anything, in her words, she's not teaching anything. She says, I'm just helping you remember, right? So spirituality isn't something that you have to learn. It's part of who you are. You're just remembering who you are. And so you don't have to go outside to remember who you are. But when when we're learning, it's very normal to kind of fall into the same kind of patterns energetically that we would see with physical things, right? So we think it's, there's got to be effort involved. There's got to be a goal involved. There's got to be something that I'm reaching for that I don't have. Even the whole concept of people are asking, oh, what is my purpose in life? Or Am I on my path? And I think all those questions are more likely, or at least as likely, to create confusion or stress. Just the concept that you're here, you have a desire to grow and to learn, but there's some secret purpose that you have that you're here to do, and you don't know what it is. You don't know what it is, but if you don't do it, you're gonna feel like a big failure in this lifetime, and you've got to somehow discover it. But nobody can tell you what it is, and it's like this is obviously a setup for failure, and it's just not true, right? You don't need any of that. Like you don't. It's okay. Like if you feel driven and you feel motivated naturally to go do something, or even if you think of something and you get excited and you want to go do it, wonderful, right? But don't think that there's some secret purpose you've got to discover that you don't know, because that's just going to make you crazy, right? That's going to make your mind. It's going to just bring up fear and anxiety, and that's not the purpose. The purpose is not fear and anxiety. So just kind of that ability to kind of chuckle at ourselves when our mind gets over involved in the process of remembering who we are, and to just kind of just say, "Oh, that's great. I love all that thinking. I love my beautiful analytical mind," but it doesn't have the answers that I'm looking for. All it can do is talk about the physical world and material world. It doesn't have any information about spirituality. So once you realize that, you're like, oh, good. I can stop looking in that book, because that's a technical manual. It doesn't have anything about, it's the wrong book. The book I want to look at here is just kind of remember who I am, open my heart, start tuning in, and letting things be, easy. Come from that space of curiosity rather than stress or worry.
When it comes to working with our energy in relationship, how can people work with their energy or the energy in a relationship to create deeper connection, cultivate more presence, to experience deeper intimacy?
I'd say probably the deepest thing is like being authentic, not necessarily just with your partner, but I'm talking about more authentic with yourself, right? So I have to be able to be honest with myself about not just the things that I'm excited about, the traits that that I want to share with everybody, but noticing, where are the places where I'm in pain, or I get angry, or I get frustrated? Where are the places where I'm getting stuck? And being able to look at those things from a space of love, not judging myself, saying, I'm a bad person because of that, or it's totally fine if I say, I'm experiencing this again, I can't believe it, and then take a breath and say, but it used to be worse. I used to feel this more often. I'm making progress. I'm like year by year, day by day, I'm feeling more and more centered in spirit mind. And that's, being aware of that progress without feeling like there's a destination I have to get to before I'm a good person. But being able to say, I'm a human being, and human beings have emotions. We call it the analytical mind, but it's also where all the emotions are, right? So there's just all this energy and emotion moving. That's okay. Being able to see that with love rather than judging myself, or feeling like there's something wrong with me, even if I'm doing things that I would prefer I wasn't doing. It doesn't mean that I'm broken or that something's wrong with me. It just means that I'm still growing and learning. I'm still alive. And to be honest, that's going to continue for all of our life. Like the only way you get out of the cycle to where you're no longer learning and growing is to not be here anymore in a body like this. And so it's not actually a good goal to like get to the top, right? Like it's okay. The goal is to like enjoy the process, to be, to find love even in the hard moments. So for me, that's what I find to be the most powerful tool, is just look at myself, love myself, notice where I'm not loving myself, and at least love the fact that I'm looking at it, like find some place to bring joy and love into that. And it's remarkable. Even the most challenging emotions that I'm feeling, even if they hold on for quite some time, can shift suddenly and then they're gone. It's like, I found my way back to love.
Finding your way back to love. So we can even say, the moment there is any disconnect or challenge within the relationship, the path is finding our way back to love. You said before that when you met your wife, if you would have known that you would meet her, you would have prepared yourself better. I connect very much with that as well. And it also it ties into what you've just shared as well, around this idea that many people have, that they need to do XYZ in order to be ready, which again is a way of trying to control or this how the spiritual journey or how the journey of life will unfold. And I'd say the universe decides when we are ready. And even if we don't feel ready in that moment, like you said, when we can hold space for the energy of that, the energy of, well, I'm not ready, but the universe says you are. So somehow I'm going to become ready, or I already am. There is so much power in holding that experience.
Yeah, you're right on. That's even when I say that, that was my experience. This sense of, oh, I'm not ready. This is perfect and beautiful and wonderful, and I don't feel quite prepared for something this amazing. But even as I say that, I recognize what you're saying there. That of course I'm ready. Otherwise, the opportunity wouldn't have shown up. This is the perfect moment. Opportunities come to us right when they're fruitful, right when we can jump in, and even if you pass them up, different opportunities will come. So it's okay to choose to say, I see an opportunity, but even though it's a great opportunity, I'm gonna say no to that one because that's what I'm feeling right now. That's totally okay, right? So I want people to know that. And but when you see something that's big and you know it's a yes, even though it's scary, those are the scariest ones. I encourage you to step in and don't listen to the part of your mind that's going to give you all the reasons why you can't do it, and just lean in anyway because it's worth it. It's that's where the joy, the fun, the growth, all that comes from, because there isn't really anything I could have done to prepare myself, even though I recognize that I'm not quite ready. But that's why the opportunity showed up, so I could learn and grow and become more me.
You touched already upon the topic of the higher calling, our deeper purpose, and the kind of trap that people can fall into, that there is some secret purpose out there that they're not yet connected to, and the friction and tension and stress that this can cause. When it comes to aligning our energy to connect more deeply with our higher calling, when a person comes to you and says, well, I know there is a higher calling inside me, but I really don't know how to connect with it. What's the next step?
Yeah, probably I would say to that person, one, that you're overcomplicating it. You're thinking a little bit too much, and just let that go. Just listen. Like, you don't have to think about it. You don't have to manifest every step of your life. Like, manifesting is fun. It's great to have that skill. It's nice. It's validating to know that you're having a conversation with the universe and manifesting things. But it's really slow if you think you're going to have to manifest every single thing. That's the really slow, difficult road. It's much better to just say, I'm just listening and trusting the universe to bring me the experiences and opportunities that I need. And my job is to just flow into the ones that feel good, right? Like it's like a buffet. You go to the buffet. We're at this hotel a couple nights ago, this beautiful buffet. There's all this opportunity for things there, but I didn't feel I needed to gorge myself on every single item. But this is how life is. Like, when opportunity comes, it's okay to say, yeah, there's an opportunity. Like, I like pizza. That looks like good pizza, but I'm not doing that right now because I'm feeling a little congested. I'm gonna pass, and I'm gonna go for the sushi over here because that's more what I'm feeling in this moment that I want. Tomorrow, maybe I'll want something else. Maybe I'll want the pizza. That's totally okay too. But it's it's really just about listening rather than writing. We think that we want to author our story every step of the way, and in some sense we did. Before we were born, we did write down a life's purpose, all the things we're planning. But the key thing to remember is that we wrote it, and we wrote it in pencil. So it's okay to it's okay at any point to edit. No problem. Nobody's going to get upset. There's no higher power that's going to be disappointed that we didn't do some plan that they made for us, because we're the ones that made the plan. And knowing that new opportunities would come, it's okay to go with those. And I think it's much more accurate to say, even if I'm deeply committed to a purpose in the moment, 5 years later, 10 years later, I may not feel that same deep commitment. I may feel like, oh, I've done enough down that path, and something new is getting my attention. I want to lean into this over here.
You said something that I really want to unpack here. You said manifestation is 99% living and 1% manifestation.
Yeah, what I was getting at in that one is most people are kind of thinking the other way, thinking that the more I'm manifesting, the happier I'll be. I want to drive the car. I want to make everything happen, all my dreams happen. And in my experience, that isn't true. I've done that. I've gotten very good at manifesting. But what I've found over the years is I don't need to go to that level of detail. It's much more fun for me to have a little surprise in my life. It's much more exciting to just be curious about what's coming, and then to think on a bigger level, like, what am I trying to do here? Enjoy my life. I'm trying to release some of the old patterns that are challenging for me to get out of, that come up year after year, and I want to change those and explore new roads. I want to grow. Like thinking on this very abstract level for me is a fun place to manifest. If I'm thinking on that level, and then all the details that come in, I don't really care. I'd be happy with many different solutions to those ideas. But if I'm specifying a particular one, it's got to happen this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's just 10 opportunities to be disappointed when there's probably, millions of solutions there that I would be super excited about. And, the adventurer in me likes the surprise. That's part of the fun in life. It's kind of funny. Some of the biggest things I manifested were like kind of whole lifestyles. There was a time where when I was young, I just kind of believed, we call it the American dream in the US because, very America-centric, but it's really, pretty universal. It's just this idea. And it's like, I have to, get a college degree. I'm going to get a job. I'm going to buy a house. I'm going to get married. I'm going to have a child. I did all that. We even had a little white picket fence around the house. Basically I just created this textbook dream, this American dream. And once it was created, when I finished manifesting all that, at some point I woke up and realized this doesn't have anything to do with me. I created a whole beautiful life, but it's not my life. It's not what I'm being called to do. And so then that one unraveled. And then I grabbed another dream. I'm going to be the successful single software engineer and rock climber. And so and that all, about 7 years later, the same thing happened. I'm like, oh, good job creating that. Good job manifesting that. But this also doesn't really have anything to do with me. So then, I looked around. I was like, well, who should I be? Oh, I should be like my teacher, this amazing, wonderful spiritual teacher I admire. So then I went down that path and started becoming that. And even that at some point, I was like, okay, so this actually isn't quite me either. So it's been my experience every time I go for something and manifest, when I get to the finish line, I realize, okay, I'm taking a really long, windy road because I'm forgetting to put the important things in, which is I just want to remember who I am. I just want to live my life gracefully, love myself even though I'm not perfect. I want to relate to people even though it's challenging sometimes. I want to enjoy all that life has to offer, not just fulfill this checklist that I had. But it's funny to me how many times I've really manifested until I was living the life of my dreams, or I thought I was, and then realized, oh, not my dream. It's one of the key things. If you're manifesting stuff right now, I'd encourage people, just think about that. Follow your dreams. And so first, just ask yourself, oh, is this actually a dream or is it a goal? Is it something I think I should do, or is it something I feel like I want to do? I'm called to do. I'm excited about. So that's the first one. And then second one is, we're kind of going backwards. Is it whose dream is it? Is it your dream? Is it a dream that your family had for you? Your parents love you and they had this dream for you to be a successful business person. Is it even your dream, or is it your partner's dream, or something you saw on TV? And then the third word to look at is that first one, actually, which is follow. Are you following that dream? Are you listening to the universe and just following the path as it guides you? Or are you trying to lead? Are you saying, I'm in charge, I'm going to make this dream happen. Here's my 10-step plan. Because each of those, follow your dream, most of us miss on every single point. We chase somebody else's expectations, right? And you're like, no, that's not it. It was supposed to be follow your dream, not chase somebody else's expectations for you, And I'm laughing because it's better than crying about it. But I've been through that so many times. It's like, I really want people to understand that it doesn't have to be that hard. Like, the things that you like, You don't have to become somebody else or be like somebody else. In fact, that idea of admiring somebody, wanting to be like them, I always say probably what you admire about the other person is that they're being themselves, that they're just loving themselves and being themselves. That's what you love about them. So if you try to be them, by default, you're not being like them. You have to just be you. And that's when you're going to feel like, oh, I'm authentic. I'm enjoying myself. I'm okay with whatever I say, even if it sounds silly to some people, because I'm just being me.
What it reminds me of, the kind of image I have in mind when you're sharing this is, I often speak about the importance of being in integrity. I see spirituality as living with integrity, and everything else is more a construct around spirituality. But what it reminds me of is, it's like when doing the right thing is hard and perhaps even confronting to a certain degree, but we still feel that alignment and we know we've done what is in highest good for our truth, for everyone else. It's kind of that, it reminds me of that, because even though it's hard, even though it might even cause a really challenging emotional and energetic experience, at the same time, there is this inner alignment with our highest truth, with our higher self, or whatever a name we want to use for it. And that's something that cannot be faked, because using another example, let's say someone becomes very successful by faking it, but at the same time, deep inside them, that energy of faking it and not being in integrity with who they truly are, that will always persist. It will always be there. And that prison will always be there at the same time. Also, what I'm thinking about here is, some people might become very successful from an energy of unworthiness. But at the end of the day, no matter how much success there is, everything has unworthiness written on it, because that pattern, that energy is still there at the core of it. I'm naturally very driven, ambitious. I've got this warrior spirit energy. And the way I connect to manifestation is put all my soul into something. And some people call it hard work. I call it passionate work. But then relax so deeply and let it all go. Let everything go and surrender at such a profound level. And I noticed that a lot of people, specifically when I work with clients who are very successful, they're afraid of surrendering and letting it all go. And of course, what they're really afraid of letting go is that identity, right? That also you talked about, that identity of the dream of the parents, the dream of the partner, or whatever generational trauma they're experiencing. How do we let go of our false identity in that process?
I'd say the answer is like just bit by bit. You just do it a little bit at a time, because this process of remembering your true self it's this journey. It just takes time, and it's really important to make sure that you're doing it in your way. Like you said, Lorin, like for you, this warrior spirit, just going for it, just putting all your heart and mind into it, and then being able to let go. That's your rhythm. You've found what works for you, but that doesn't mean everybody has to follow your rhythm. Everybody has to follow my rhythm. Like everybody's got to find like what's the rhythm that suits them. It's funny because as you were talking, I actually remembered this guy that I worked with back in the software days, and he was older than me. I was probably my early 30s, but I remember I was just surprised. I'm like, I don't understand his motivation, because he comes to work exactly at 9. He goes home exactly at 5. He's just steady. He does his work, but he's never hereafter. He's not like going for it, like trying to get a promotion, a raise, whatever. And it was so strange to me, because I was the opposite. I was always going for it. As I was there early and late. If somebody gave me a project, I did 3 projects. It just like, that was just part of who I am. Just that adrenaline junkie part of me, loved, loved living like that. And it wasn't until years later that I looked back and I remembered him. I was like, oh, I'm starting to get it. He was really enjoying all those moments. He didn't need to move fast, and he was enjoying his family immensely. And I even asked my boss at one point, because she was comparing the two of us, and she said, well, there's things I love about both of you. If something's on fire, I'm going to call you, because I know you're going to jump into the fire and solve it, because that's your nature. But if I want a project that's somebody that's reliable and is just going to get something done without creating drama, I'm probably not going to pick you. I'm going to pick him because that's she says both of these are completely different, but both very beautiful. And I bring it up because it's important. Most of the people that we see that are getting their voice out there are motivated more than average, right? Most people that are influencing or they're wanting to be on camera, wanting to talk to people. These are not normal people, right? These are people with sort of an elevated level of drive and excitement and enthusiasm for this kind of work. But don't aspire to be that. Aspire to be you and find what your rhythm is, and admire everybody for their rhythm too.
I love what you're saying there. Respect and honor other people's rhythm, because this is a pattern I am working through. I've got this immense drive, and of course there can be this idea that others or the team, this can become projected onto the team, onto others. Everything has to be fire, full on, high level precision. And then I noticed, wow, I'm causing stress, not just for myself, but I'm causing stress for others around me, because I'm expecting them to tap into my rhythm that feels aligned. And of course, there are always areas to work through. So I love what you're saying here, to honor other people's rhythm and to find our own. Thank you so much, Jeffrey. Where can people find your powerful work? And is there anything specific that you would like to mention?
Sure. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so I would say to find me, you can go to my website. So my website's iamjeffreyallen.com. And if you're interested in developing energy work and specifically working with that, you can also find me on Mindvalley. So my programs are through Mindvalley for energy work. All my latest stuff is actually with my wife, Hisami. Once I met her, and it's funny, you were just talking about it, like she and I are opposite in this way. Like I'm the person that's going out and going for it, the adrenaline junkie, and she's the Buddha, And then I met her and I thought, oh, I'm just gung-ho chasing after spirituality in every way I know how, taking every class I can, just like learning it, teaching it. I'm just traveling around and it's just, I'm loving it. And then I met her and I noticed right away, oh, Hisami has like naturally within her the things that I was hoping that I would get to if I ran fast enough and hard enough in enough directions, right? And then I asked her, what are, who's your teachers? What process are you doing? How often do you meditate? And, of course, this is all through translation and stuff. And she said, I don't have any teachers. I never meditated, and I haven't read any books, or I don't follow any particular religion. I was like, oh, wow. And I was like, okay. So somebody with a completely different rhythm than me. And I realized, okay, it's not that what I'm doing is wrong. Like there's many paths, right? We have to each be on our own path. But I realized all the things that I thought were necessary aren't necessary because she's getting there without them. So I'm like, oh, wow, this is an opportunity for me to learn from her and to maybe optimize a little bit. Maybe I don't have to run 10 kilometers when I can just like take one step, right? Even though it's in my nature and I like to run. So if that kind of conversation intrigues you, then I would say go to spiritmind.com and find out about the work that I'm doing with Hisami, because her teaching is really deep and profound and simple, very easy ways to connect with spirituality. And then my part in that journey is kind of taking that simple Buddha-like quality that she has and then saying, okay, and here's how somebody very analytical, very active relates to that and both misunderstands it. And, so I'm kind of the translator between her world and the people like me that are very active mentally and chasing things. So it's a fun, you kind of get to see it right in the teaching, like how did these two very different people stay together and create something, lasting and beautiful and not have like almost anything on the surface in common. Everything on the surface is the opposite, but in the center, there's love, there's commitment to being ourselves, to growing, to learning. So it's fun. I just love it. So if you're interested in that, yeah, spiritmind.com.
last thing here. What you said reminds me of, we live here part of the year in the Costa Blanca by the sea in Spain. And it reminds me of this moment when I was walking on the beach and I was thinking of the next high level expansion. And I was talking to my wife about vision and expansion and breakthrough. And she commented about the beauty of the waves, the beauty of where we're walking. And in that moment, I was like, yeah. And the next level of expansion.
The same thing. She's like, open your eyes, look around. It's gorgeous now.
Exactly.
Yeah, so fun, Lorin. Thank you so much.
Really appreciate you. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Wow.
Thank you for listening to this episode. I am so honored to have you here. If you want to benefit from more free offerings, I invite you to subscribe to my newsletter. I send it out every Friday, value-packed, deep, powerful personal insights very often as well that are not being shared on my social media platforms. You can find it under lorinkren.com/newsletter or anywhere in the description or show notes, wherever you're listening. And for us to continue to serve you at the highest level, I only ask for a few seconds of your time. If you can leave the show 5 stars or a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube, of course only if that's how you truly feel about it, then it truly goes a long way. Now, 30 to 45 seconds of your time, if you can write a little review or your experience with the show, this goes even further. And of course, if you please share this with someone who you think can truly benefit from this, or anywhere on your social medias. These are small ways how you can support the show so we can continue to support you at the highest and deepest level. Thank you so much for being here.